If someone brings up the 1966 Batman TV show in conversation, they probably used the word campy. It might as well be the show's official adjective, and boy, is it ever campy.
Never again will that ghastly girdle thwart my plans, for I, the clown prince of crime, have found the answer to it.
What is it, Joker?
My own utility belt.
Hey, terrific!
Hand me down the shark repellent bat spray.
However, shark repellent bat spray aside, why is it so campy? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Hey, you fancy nerds, I'm Jay, and this is a quick take. It's a new 3 to 7 minute video format where I break down one interesting question. Of course, that means we don't have a lot of time, so let's get started. Batman first debuted in Detective Comics number 27 in 1939, and he was anything but campy. Bob Kane and Bill Finger created the character, although Finger would not get the proper recognition he deserved until after his death. Back in the totally boss year of 1954, the Comics Code Authority was created to regulate the types of stories, language, and themes allowed in comics. Soon, the days of violence, gore, and sexual innuendo were over, but we live in the future, and we all know that this didn't last forever. Psychologist Frederick Wortham's 1954 book Seduction of the Innocent took aim at Batman, among many other titles, and Wortham claimed that children imitated crimes committed in comic books and that comics had corrupted the morals of the defenseless youth. He accused Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson of being lovers and claimed that the book had homosexual overtones, something that most of us have come to realize is perfectly natural these days, but I digress. As a result, Batman changed. Gone were the days of bat violence, and in came a new era of silly, campy fun. Golden Age Batman often caused serious harm to criminals, would occasionally use a gun, and even killed a few villains in his time. Some of this change came from a natural progression in the superhero archetype. For example, rumor has it that this panel in Batman number 1 resulted in a new rule that Batman could not directly kill anyone. This was in 1940, pretty early on in the golden age of comics. However, the tone and themes of the comics themselves shifted as a direct result of the Comics Code, and by late 1956, just 2 years after the introduction of the CCA, the Silver Age of Comics began with DC Comics Showcase number 4 and a brand new Flash named Barry Allen. Often called Batman 66 and rebranded as Batman Classic TV Series in 2013, the show that debuted in 1966 was simply called Batman. It was a 30-minute primetime live-action TV series that ran until 1968 and was still in reruns when I was a child in the 1980s. William Dozier was both the producer of the series and the iconic narrator that began and ended each episode.
The sands of time run out for the boy wonder.
So, novelist Eric Ambler was hired to write a serious script for a Batman TV movie. However, Dozier, after reading several Batman comics, decided that the show would only work if it was done as what he called pop art comedy. Again, this came a decade into the Silver Age of comics, and so the books Dozier picked up were not the same Golden Age Batman stories the creators of the 1940s Batman serials would have read. Instead, he ended up with the CCA-approved Silver Age Batman. Honestly, one could see why he had trouble taking the material seriously. So why was the 1966 Batman TV show so campy? Well, simply put, it was a product of its time. The Comics Code had ushered in an era of silly comic stories with less violence and more child-friendly fun, and when the show aired, the Silver Age of Comics was a decade old, and a person buying a new Batman comic in 1966 would find plenty of silly, campy fun, both on the screen and on the page. In much the same way, the 1986 limited series Batman The Dark Knight Returns and the 1989 one-shot Batman The Killing Joke influenced the 1989 film adaptation of Batman. It, too, was a product of its time, based on the current form of Batman in print at the time it was conceived. Ignoring a couple Batman films that were clearly created as extended commercials, this trend continues.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
Batman Begins, released in 2005, took some inspiration from 1987's Batman Year One, as well as 1996's Batman The Long Halloween and 1989's The Man Who Falls. Even the 2016 movie Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was inspired by The Dark Knight Returns and the 1992 story arc The Death of Superman. All of these comics have a couple things in common. They were dark, gritty, and serious, and they were influential books that did much to define the modern age of comics. In the same way that the 1966 Batman TV series and feature film were influenced by the Silver Age comics of the time, so are our modern big screen representations of Batman influenced by the modern age of comics. In short, 1966's Batman was campy because it was made in a time when Batman was campy. So what age of comics are we in now? What effect will the comics of today have on the depictions of Batman tomorrow? Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you think. This video is brought to you by our lovely patrons on Patreon. You can support the channel at patreon.com/fancyteeth. Head over there and check out the rewards. If you can't afford Patreon, then you can still be a huge help by sharing this video on Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. You can also come chat with me directly on Discord, link in the description below. Until next time, guys, be kind to each other. I'm Jay Parks.